How long have you got? 2 minutes? Let's go. The history of China trails back to 2200 BC with the formation of the legendary Xia dynasty by King Shun. Rather than pass the throne to his son, Shun chose the selfless servant of the state, Yu, to take over, thus setting a precedent in the Chinese conception of benevolent enlightened monarchy. Circa 551 BC, as the third of China's earliest dynasties lay in ruins, the Chinese sophist Confucius emerged to offer a set of ethical tenets to better guide its rulers in organizing the nation. The Qin dynasty, however, implemented the ruthless tenets of another Chinese school of thought, legalism, in order to reunify China by force in 221 BC. For 2,000 years thereafter, China would alternate between legalism and Confucianism in long dynastic cycles, alternating between benevolent monarchy and tyranny and chaos. Strangely, as history repeated itself, the Chinese did not conclude that they were failing to learn its meaning. They felt, rather, that the coming and going of dynasties simply reflected the attainment and loss of the so-called mandate of heaven. When Europeans arrived on China's shores, the Chinese judged them to be barbarians from the Taizi, the far west, too far to truly benefit from the blessings of China's cultural emanations. China's hubris, however, would prove disastrous. Europe was in fact more advanced and intent on imposing itself. When Britain sent its ambassador Lord Macartney in 1793 to seek a formal trade treaty, he was dismissed with a colossally pretentious warning to King George III to tremblingly obey Chinese dictates. Britain brutally punished China for its irrational overconfidence in the First Opium War of 1839-42, imposing an egregious drug trade on the subordinated nation that had thought it was the Middle Kingdom, or the great cultural hub of the universe. Following the utter collapse of their government and their way of life, and the virtual dismembering of their country by foreign powers, the Chinese were pushed out of desperation into the adoption of a supposedly anti-imperial antidote: communism. After the murder of tens of millions of Chinese revealed the true evil of communism, China's leaders opted to soften their rule, like legalists, switching to Confucianism to avoid being overthrown. China is now economically freer than many Western countries, but corruption is rampant, and many are predicting that communism will soon collapse, resulting in the rise of democracy.